As of this date, end of March 2024, Arknights Global has over 300 characters to use. Thankfully, Arknights only has character banners and no weapon banners. Like, thank God. Because of that, players are sort of gated from accelerating too quickly in the game through resource gathering. You'll need to make choices based on who you want to level up, raise skill levels for, adding modules, and lastly, skill masteries being one of the most resource-intensive hurdles. If one plays Arknights enough, they could end up leveling everyone, it's just a question of when. To help the new doctors from getting overwhelmed, here are some units that I recommend everyone help to build to help them get through the early game levels. These units can also help with getting through other game modes to help you gather more resources like the roguelike mode, integrated strategies. Okay, well, you probably won't complete these modes on your first go around, but building a variety of units will certainly help you last longer. I want to clarify that I chose these units based on the fact that I like them. They've served me well, most are easy to train with little effort required, and lastly, training these low rarity units will allow you to flex them in multiple team comps to build out your other teams. Because of this flexibility, you can use low rarity video guides with your favorite guide maker to help copy for near to exact results. For the sake of accessibility, there will be no 6 stars from polls on this video. Most units talked about today are easily obtainable and on the free side, so your wallet is safe today. Just add friends who already have built 6 stars. For our first unit, Vigil. Okay, I'm kidding, don't actually build Vigil ever. Instead, build all of your 2-star rarity or lower units. It's sort of a cop-out answer to include a whole tier of people, but honestly, they're all cheap to raise and they can still serve a purpose. Next to their cheap level cost, they're also inexpensive in deployment points. So, if you happen to have trouble with deployment point generation to get a certain defender out, you can throw in Noir Corn instead in their place. Use Rangers for range, 12F for AoE magic, Yato for your melee DPS and also sports a short redeployment time, and lastly Durin to look cute and she also does magic. All of the 2-star rarity units cannot be promoted, which sounds bad, but in reality, they're already at their full potential at level 30, so not much else is needed to push them further. They don't need that much LMD to raise, they're very simple to use with not too much thinking required, and they can fill in gaps until you actually have the units to replace them with. Due to their low investment cost though, they can be great units for the early stages of integrated strategies, as they cost 0 hope to bring onto your teams. And don't look down upon them because some of the members of this team have received an altar form that raised them even further, so Rangers will get a spectacular altar one day, mark my words. For this next choice, you can choose either Jessica or Cruz. Either will be a great choice, so choose whether you're a cat or a Crocodile person. They're both low cost to build up, and when they're built, they can provide a lot of support with their damage, especially when you have drones to deal with. They're incredibly helpful in that regard. Now, I say choose either because they're both free, and you can enhance their potentials with how common it is to get their copies. But for the most part, they basically do the same job. While Cruz does end up being weaker in the end with her not having an E2 promotion to gain more stats, she still gets the job done. Jessica comes with an additional skill while Cruz is locked to 1, but for the most part, it's nothing too spectacular that'll change the game. She also has the capability to use the module system to further enhance her, but just like anyone else, she'll need to be raised to E2 promotion before she can utilize it. Personally, I haven't found a reason to justify promoting her as it costs some mildly expensive resources. I'd much prioritize other units instead and give them resources versus Jessica, so she sits at E1 for the longest time for me, but she can still get the job done. Sorry, Cat. Whether you choose one or hell, even both, these are both solid range units that can help you get through early game stages and once again, IS mode. Have you ever sat down and checked Melantha's stats? Like, no. Have you actually done it? It took me a long time to realize this, but her base HP is 2745 when fully built. 2745, that's more than most units. That's on par with my other units like Spectre, and nearly being as close as a fully leveled defender fire whistle. While Melantha is a guard unit, not as tanky as a defender. She also comes to around 800 attack when she's fully built, which is very good for soloing tough enemies. Give her a healer and she'll go toe to toe with an enemy. And please note, I said an enemy, just one. She won't be able to block more than just that, so don't think she can handle an entire battalion of enemies and hold the line. Overall, Melantha is a solid unit that can tank for a good bit and also kill most enemies she comes up against. And lastly, she's a cat girl, so a very good reason to have her as well. Gravel is an easily obtainable unit, just try your luck with recruitments and some pulls. Long story short, our hamster is a fast redeployment unit. This means you can place her down and return her to reposition with a short cooldown timer. This is crucial as later stages in the game aren't just simply place a unit down and forget about them. Gravel is more on the defensive side of things, and you can use her to soak in damage prior to retreating, leading into some interesting tactics like having her be a bait. Alongside being a fast redeploy unit, she can also be thrown down to intercept an enemy who happens to leak past your defenses, in case you missed that stray, saving you the 3-star clear. All in all, Gravel is simple to use, and really just think of her as a tanky assassin. Gummy is a defender with an amazing healing ability. I picked this Guardian defender to highlight her ability to heal allies while also remaining as a strong wall against enemies. Her skills both heal, but I generally leave it on skill 1. With her ability to heal other nearby units, you can actually focus your other healers in other areas if you lack that. Gummy is one of my top picks for IS mode. In IS mode, you are limited with the units you can get, and sometimes you may not end up receiving a medic for a long time. Thankfully for us, Gummy can double as a good healer and tank as you keep going until you eventually get a medic in IS mode. Hopefully. And lastly, she has the ability to stun enemies with her auto attack, which is kind of funny. It's not that game changing, but it's hilarious to see when it happens. Now, this is an interesting pick for most players as they may miss this unit, but she is a free 6-star unit that is absolutely goated. Like, honestly, they had no business releasing a unit this strong for free. Gladiia is hands down one of the best units in the game, and she's just available through the Intermezzi side story Undertides. Collect enough points in the side story to claim her through the Record Restoration. She's a hook master unit with an incredible skill 3, like visually it's amazing, and it's a crowd control so it can pull in enemies into one spot and you can focus all your fire into that spot with all your other units. She can be deployed on both ground and ranged tiles to give you a bit of flexibility, and her stats are really strong to boot, with sporting a high 800 attack when fully built out. And she can block 2 units if needed. I don't really recommend that, but she can do that as well. Her skill 1 is simple. She stores charges of her ability to be used when she pulls in enemies towards her, pulling enemies into their death sometimes. And remember, the best form of crowd control is death. And if you have the money, her skin is beautiful. Something to keep note of is that she's also an Abyssal Hunter unit. These units are able to buff one another with some strong bonuses. When Gladiia is deployed, all Abyss Hunter operators recover 1.5% of their max HP per second, while also receiving 15% less physical and arts damage from seaborne enemies, which is kind of, niche depending on what you're fighting, but still pretty nice to have. Promoting her to E2 will also increase the benefit of both of these numbers. Abyssal Hunters, however, are an absolute luxury team, so it can cost somebody a lot of money and time to build this, and you have to get lucky with pulls. When built, however, they can perform very well. For the final unit that I'm gonna mention that everyone should bring, and I think a lot of you guys saw this coming, Myrtle. And honestly, there's not much else to say other than the fact that she's a deployment point printing machine. You can just put her down in a relatively safe area and she just does her job. So long as you don't have a situation where she needs to defend as she's left open when using her skill, everything will be fine. She's so good, in fact, that she sits at the bottom of her tier list at rank S- on Game Press. So in the event that you don't have a top tier flag bearer unit, she will still be an amazing unit to have to get DP. Now, there are many other great choices out there, but when I think about the units that everyone should have ready to go, these are the units I think of first. Other players may have other recommendations, and honestly, that's valid too. Ultimately, just playing the game on a consistent basis will help you build literally anyone in the game over time. With that said, this is Kogon, and good luck out there building your units, and thank you for watching.